going to be President Donald John Trump's first Medal of Honor recipient that he's going to actually, or scheduled, because you never know, to God be all the glory, he's scheduled to drape the Medal of Honor around. And now members of Army Medic James McLaughlin's unit in Vietnam called him Doc, which, as those of your veterans know, that's what you call every medic. But July 31st, again, President Donald John Trump will, and he's still breathing. So on Monday, the 31st, the Michigan Vietnam vet, Trump's first Medal of Honor recipient, is going to take place. So put it down on your schedule and be ready for that. Ladies and gentlemen, while you hear that, we're going to be right back after the news. You listen to the Dave Taylor program with super duper producer Kevin and Bex here on News Talk 640 WFNC. We'll be right back after the news.
Dave Taylor.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And you know, when I was in school, we used to sing something like this. Listen here. America, sweet America. You know, God done shed his grace on thee. He gave me crown like good. Yes, he did.
Yes, he
his
did.
brotherhood from sea to shining sea.
Also with brotherhood and sisterhood. Well, welcome back, everybody. Get your humble and affable host here, Dr. Dave, your conservative mental physician, broadcasting boldly, confidently, and in full third here at the Conservative Bright Light microphone, of course, over there, answering the call, and also putting together that fabulous bumper music to include with Mr. Ray Charles and those kids giving the Pledge of Allegiance is super duper producer Kevin. And in there right now, who is shadowing him, is Bex, who 2 weeks from today will actually be, it'll just be she and I in there to making that happen. So, just kind of an interesting thing. Back when I was in the fourth grade, back in the 50s, 40s, one of those decades, 50s, 60s, 70s, is that I recall the three teachers that we had in rotation at that time. I had Miss Scott, Miss Welch, and Miss Beck. Now, how do I remember them all these decades later? Remember Welch's grape juice, Scott's tissue, and Beck's beer. And again, so those three teachers were in rotation. Now we got Beck's. It's kind of like turning full circle. And here we go. Yes, indeed. So, and Bex is sitting me with pink and writing, sending stuff up against the glass. And look at me as I do this program here today. So fantastic. A couple weeks from today, he'll be back. And the super duper producer Kevin is going to be in with my sister up in, well, not necessarily with my sister, but going to be in the same town anyway, in Chicago. Some people call it Chicago, but of course, if you're in the know, you call it Chicago. Like I said, and that's the Mideast. I mean, it's not Syria, it's not Iraq, Afghanistan. The Mideast is Chicago, Detroit, Indianapolis, that area, the Middle East. What I call the I-65 corridor. And for those of you who've ever traveled going to Chicago, you take the I-65 corridor, I-65 North, and I-95 North are two separate and distinct personalities. I-95 corridor, the Miami-Manhattan bypass, if you've been on it, I mean, they seem like they're in a hurry going they got to get there. But I-65 is a lot more laid back, going through Birmingham, Indianapolis, Louisville, and then Gary, Indiana. Of course, you go over the Sky Bridge, pay the toll, and you go into Chicago there for you. But if you're driving 70 on I-65, you're a stud. If you're driving 70 on I-95 north, I mean, you're getting run over talking about your mama exchanging hand and arm signals. As a matter of fact, one time I was coming back from Georgia, going up I-95 on it for 100 miles before getting off in Fayetteville, and doing 90 miles an hour in the left lane. Couldn't get over because the traffic was that intent, but somebody behind me was flashing the lights saying, you need to get over. You just need to just get out of my way. So it's a totally, different thing up there. But I tell you what, when I go and get into it, more data here, but again, remember Monday the 31st, President Donald John Trump would actually present his first Medal of Honor presentation to a living, that's right, member. So the Medal of Honor that recipient is not Medal of Honor winner, but the Medal of Honor recipient is going to be Army medic James McLaughlin, and they call him Doc in the Nam, and so he is still living. And so this was in the Battle of Nur Yan Hill in 1969. New name for him, Medal of Honor recipient. So President Donald John Trump is scheduled to, on July 31st, which is Monday, go ahead and wrap the Medal of Honor around his particular neck. So the first one for President Donald John Trump. I tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, lads and lasses, President Trump is doing an outstanding job. My gosh. I mean, it's restored. I mean, the concept of being president and first lady around the world, people recognize that. You may recall that the previous occupant of that Oval Office, doggone it, what's his name? Anyway, he may have been born in Africa, but you may recall one of his most recent trips in the last 3 months of his presidency. He didn't even get off go out the main exit on his own aircraft. He went out the back entrance. You may have seen that. I'm saying, come on. I mean, really, dude? I mean, pretend you're president of the United States of America. Heaven knows you said it so many times that you're the president. Act like it. But he went off the I guess you would call it the service exit on the back of his own aircraft. So, my gosh, it is good to see around the world people to recognize that. And again, all right, now I wanted to say this before going to the phones right here, is that more than one of the downstream media outlets went ahead and led what they call a news item that, well, the polls indicate that President Donald John Trump is as such and such. Ladies and gentlemen, lads and lasses, have they not learned a lesson? These are the same people who late into election night in 2016 said there's going to be a walk-off landslide, and yet they have the unmitigated gall to come out and still talk about that crap. Now, here's one thing about the polls. The only reason people even talk about polls is because it's intended to be weaponizing the polls. If the polls were accurate, you wouldn't need to say them because the votes would actually tell you. But anytime you use as news something that has a margin of error, then you know it's bogus and fake. What if you went to your doctor's office on Monday and because you had a back issue and your doctor said, there is a 90% chance of success here, plus or minus 3%. Would that be the doctor that you want to go to? Of course not. But yet the downstream media, because they're so beat up, they have been so hammered, they are making up stuff and using stuff that doesn't make any sense, looking at polling. And the thing about it is that Americans have gotten it. We went out and voted for Donald John Trump in record numbers. As a matter of fact, folks in the downstream media and all these flaming liberal chuckleheads talk about the popular vote. Ladies and gentlemen, I submit to you that Hillary Clinton did not even win a majority of the Democrat votes. I mean, because it was so rigged with the, quote, super delegates, unquote. Remember that? As, the people were feeling the burn and voting for anybody but Hillary. So there is doubt as if she even won the Democrat nominee. The super delegates were designed, of course, after the presidential run of Reverend Jesse Jackson, because he was spanking and winning in the South. They said, we can't have this. We can have some interloper come in here and win this nomination. So they came with the concept of superdelegates, so that no matter what it turned out to be in the regular vote, that you could designate and allocate superdelegates, and then that person, in this case, Hillary Clinton. So there is doubt as if she actually won the Democrat nomination for president. So I tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, let's go to the lines. Are all fired up. And Dave, welcome to the program, my friend.
Hey, good morning, Dave. How you doing, buddy?
I am making the Lord tell, my friend. How are you doing this fine morning?
I'm doing okay, and I was listening to you when I was driving on the way to Dunkin' Donuts over there on Riley Road. Not Riley Road, I'm sorry, Rayford Road. And,
okay.
It's my favorite place to hang out some mornings, drink iced coffees and have donuts.
Yes.
But I was when I was listening to you, was talking about the three chuckleheads, like you like to call them.
Yes.
Susan Collins, Barbara Mikulski, and John McCain.
Yes.
They destroyed the skinny repeal.
Yes.
And, when I was watching on the news the other night, I was so infuriated. It's just unbelievable. Because that skinny repeal, from what I understand, was only going to repeal the mandate.
That's right.
The mandate which requires people to buy health insurance or be fined by the IRS, as well as requires employees to have health insurance paid by their company if it's 50 employees or higher, I believe it is, or that company gets fined.
That's right.
That needs to be gutted. That nobody should be forced to have to buy insurance. Nobody should be forced to have to provide insurance to their employees. That's exactly a benefit. Right. That's a benefit, not a freebie. And,
that's right.
And so that was the only thing that was going to be repealed.
And the skinny repeal, that's right.
And that would justify that this is a free nation with independence and free market values. And here, Susan Collins, who is a Rhino Democrat,
Republican, yes,
and Barbara Mikulski, who's a Rhino Democrat.
Republican.
I don't know why the hell they're in our party. And then John McCain.
Oh my God!
I was watching the news there. When Vice President Pence went into Congress, he went straight to John McCain and talked to him.
Yes.
And then John McCain did what? Well, he went over and huddled with the Democrats and was laughing it up.
It was unbelievable, and he voted no out of turn, even if you recall.
And then he voted, and the whole hall got hushed when he went to vote.
Gasps!
And he gives a thumbs down and smiles. And I said, I can't even say these words on the phone, but
I got you.
I said, and I was so John McCain. Oh Lord!
And that's why, for the first time, my friend, if you notice, because I know you're a long time listener to the program, this morning I used the term former POW. I mean, and I'm actually going to have to agree with Donald John Trump. I've been in the military and in combat. You're not a hero for being captured. That's not what's in any mission statement to be captured. And also, when you are captured as a down pilot, you send folks out to look for you who get killed in the process. So I cannot. Now, he may have acted courageously.
Well, he was a hero because he refused to be released because he knew that the North Vietnamese were using him as a pawn. He refused to be released unless the rest of his friends there at the camp are all released too. And
that's what the Code of Conduct says, my friend. That's not been a hero. The Code of Conduct says that you'll be released in the order of your capture. Yeah. So that's in the Code of Conduct, and we won't have that anymore anyway. But
well, anyway, that was long ago. That's got nothing to do with what he's doing today. Listen, John McCain, he has fought against pro-life issues out there in Arizona in the federal government. He has fought against any controls of illegal immigrants, illegal aliens, I prefer to call them. He's been a staunch opponent to any kind of wall.
Yes.
He criticized our president for putting a ban on transgender peoples in the military. Yes. This guy is no conservative. He's not even. He doesn't have Christian values either, and that's why I had to hold my nose to vote for him, because he was the worst of all the Republican candidates back in
2008.
Yeah, that's right, 2008. You're right. Yeah, and I'm just so disgusted with him. And Lord Almighty, man, it's just.
Well, Dave, let's go back to 2008 for just a second, because I was going to hold my nose to vote for him because I definitely not going to vote for the Democrat, but I actually voted for Sarah Palin, and John McCain happened to be her running mate. So,
well, yeah, when he chose Sarah Palin, my support went up just a little bit for him.
Yeah,
but oh, geez, Lord.
But yeah, he was actually. I remember one. It's like it's fresh in my mind, like it was yesterday. Is that he was at some rally, and one of the constituents was so concerned that, gosh, what's that guy's name? But anywho, that he may have been a Muslim. And he said, well, no, he's not a Muslim. I'm saying, you got to be kidding me. I mean, you talk to her about her concerns, but you don't go ahead and clear his record any more than you say he was born in America, like some of these other flaming chocolate. I mean, my gosh. I mean, you don't just acquiesce because somebody makes a statement.